Welcome to Stay on Track podcast with Poolson Oden Law Firm. Danny Poolson, along with my amazing co-host, Carissa Oden. Our vision is to help 500 plus families battling injuries by year 2028.
Our motto is that we help people who are hurt. Our goal is to earn each client's trust by showing up for them every day. When we say PO in our office, we think protecting others. We started this podcast to share knowledge, experience, and insights free of charge to better spread our vision and serve our communities near and far.
Today we are airing episode 10 of Stay on Track podcast with Poolson Oden Law Firm, and we are discussing checking under the hood medically with a very special guest, Dr. Christian Montegut, family medicine physician and newly elected coroner for St. John the Baptist Parish. And stretch.
Yes. She did the claps. Yay. Congratulations on that recent elected position. Before we get into your practice, can you tell us a little bit about your background, education, and your experience as a family medical doctor?
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a little bit.
Yeah.
So I grew up in LaPlace. That's where my dad was from. Went to grammar school out there and came to high school at Carrollton and Banks, Jesuit out here. Following that, I went to LSU for 4 years and then came back to New Orleans for med school at Tulane. Finished my 4 years there. And then did a 3-year residency at East Jefferson in family medicine. And then after that, started working back home in LaPlace with my dad and his partner that had been there since 1980. So, yeah.
Not usually you work with your dad?
Correct. Yes, he is still out there. He is 40 into 44 years strong now working. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I've been there for almost 13, so it's been going pretty well. Now I just took realm of the coroner's office out there, which my dad had for 36 years. He ran the very first time and was unopposed ever since. So he was finally kind of ready to be done with that, and no one else really wanted it. So I stepped up, and here we are. It's in my lap now. So now I get to have all that fun with all that we do. Luckily, it's a small enough parish, so that helps out a little bit, but it has to be done. So that's what we do.
Is your dad, does he say things like, how's that going? Or you enjoying that?
He has actually, because luckily it's more paperwork than anything. But yeah, he doesn't have to do it anymore. So he kind of looks at me, he's like, oh yeah, good luck with that.
Good luck.
So yeah,
That's awesome. So your family medicine practice is a family practice.
correct. Yes, very unique in that regard. The patients love it. I've seen people that I knew growing up that know me from when I was at the ballpark when I was 5 years old. So that's kind of neat. And seeing, we have actually some patients in that practice that have been going there longer than I've been born. So yeah, that's with me. So I come across charts that have vital signs and notes from 1980 and 1981. So it is pretty neat to see. They don't like to hear that. It is pretty neat to see.
Is there ever, let's just get right into it, Doc.
Yeah.
Is there ever a situation where you have a patient who knew you as a child that now you're treating and will kind of look at you and say, all right, Christian, hang on now.
I do. It's mainly parents of my friends that come into the office and see me, and people that know me from that. Yeah, so it's a little bit different now because I'm fresh. I mean, I'm not as new now, so I've been out. I think they think I know what I'm doing now. Whereas when I first started,
They're like, wait.
I had a couple people that asked me like, "How old are you?" I'm like, and as soon as I would say 29, they kind of got a cringe because I was so young. But I think they're all used to it now, and they like it. So the way that it works, because it was 4 of us for a while. It was my dad and me, and then his old partner and his nephew, who I went to high school and college with. So there was the older one and the younger one. So if anybody was ever out, all the patients would just see the other one. So we'd kind of keep it in line. So I think that helped out a lot of patients like that.
Did you ever get the, Dr. Montegut, but your dad wouldn't treat me this way? Or your dad wouldn't do it that way?
I get that. I get that a little bit. Luckily, our styles are fairly similar, so there's not a whole lot of that. But there are some things that, again, when I went to medical school, there was stuff that he didn't even know about. Like he didn't learn about that when he was in school because he graduated in 1977. So there's some small things like that. But for the most part, again, our styles are fairly similar. But yeah, all of us have our own ways of doing things. So there's a little difference. And the patients notice it, but luckily it works out. So it's still pretty good.
So something about Dr. Montegut, like Carissa says, she likes to brag on people and lift people up, which I think is cool. So to kind of a fun point, Dr. Montegut, is you actually have a photographic memory.
Sort of. It's very. I always look. It's not perfect, right? It's got a few pictures up there. But yes, I'm able to see patients in clinic, and not write anything down. I just stare at the patient. I look at them. I talk with them. I'm not looking at a computer screen. I'm not looking at a chart. And then at night, after the kids are sleeping, is when I go back and do all my charting. And I have a really good memory of pulling out. Been doing that ever since I started residency.
Yeah.
It's weird.
And so
I know that it's weird.
Awesome.
I accept that. But yes, it works out for me. It lets me spend more time talking with the patients, engaging with them, instead of, unfortunately, how some of medicine is now just staring at a computer screen, which I'm not a big fan of. I like to just put it away. I still have paper charts. I don't even have electronic records.
Nice.
That's Doc. That's where I was going to go.
Yeah.
We've nerded out a little bit on. We've talked about this quite a bit with patient care and electronic medical records, and you. It sounds like you fall in the front of. I'm going to keep it paper as long as I can because I'm treating the patient.
Yes. The other issue with that is, for me as a family doctor, people come and see us for everything under the sun, and they start off with one problem, and then it kind of evolves into 3 or 4 more problems. And so if I was on a computer and I had to go back into the program and add the new problem list as I was going, it would take me an hour for every patient to do that. It's just not practical for us. Now, other specialties where they're kind of more focused on a handful of problems, they're in there for the one problem, it's probably easier for them, but not for us. That's just not very beneficial. It's going to take a lot of my time, and that's time that I don't get to engage with the patient. So I'm not a big fan of that. So as long as I can stay paper, I'm going to do that. And we don't have to worry about anybody hacking our system to get records, because it's just paper chart. So the info's on the paper chart. So
Old
school. I like it.
Old school. And Doc, we've seen medicine, the business of medicine with more specialties, and you kind of touched on it. And I think one of the things we want for our viewers is to learn more about a primary care physician, right? A family medicine doctor, and why that is so important to have a primary care physician, especially for folks like us who are middle-aged, right? To I think you've said it, I've heard you say maybe check under the hood. Can you talk a little bit about that and why it's so important to have a primary care physician and see a family medicine doctor?
Sure. So, people in my shoes like this, we're kind of the gatekeepers to this. It's a little bit different out here in the city in Laplace. We really don't have a lot of specialists. There's not a whole lot. They had a couple cardiologists. They recently moved. There's a surgeon. There's an ENT that's there a couple days a week. There's a GI that's like once every other week maybe. That's it. And our patients don't like crossing over that 12-mile bridge to come in to Metairie to see a specialist, go to Ochsner or EJ or LCMC, whatever it is. So they come to us for everything. The other issue is I'm a cheap date. I usually have the cheapest copay, so they are going to come see me as well.
A cheap date.
Yeah, I'm the cheapest date around, so that's where they come. But we are those gatekeepers, and it's our job to try and find out when some of those things go awry, to get them to a proper specialist, but it usually all starts at our office. So I use this kind of moniker all the time is I'm just a people mechanic. That's all that I am, right? It's similar systems. If the check engine light comes on, bring it into the shop and get it taken care of. Don't wait. Don't let it sit for months or weeks. That's what the men usually do. Come on in and get it checked out. Hopefully everything checks out fine and you're on your way. But if you get a fancy sports car, you're not just going to run it into the ground. You're going to do certain maintenance. The human body is the same way, except you only get one model. So I was born in 82. I got a 1982 model. That's all I get. So you can only swap out a couple parts. You have to go and take care of it. So as long as you do that, modern medicine is pretty darn well now. You can kind of do okay as long as you catch it early. If the horse gets out of the barn, it's not going to work out well for a lot of people. So I try to pass that along. A lot of people can kind of understand that. Like, don't just cover up the light. Don't pretend like it's going to go away. If it comes on, come in. We check it out. If we need to send you off, we send you off. If everything checks out, well, then you're good to go for a little bit longer. So that's what I like to use that phrase. And then my son, I told him about it. He's 13. He's like, oh, okay, I get it. So if you diet and exercise and eat right, it's like you get better gas mileage. I was like, that's exactly how that is. The car runs better if you take care of it. So our bodies are a very similar way. So as long as you take care of it, it will take care of you and let you do most of the things you need to do. So Doc, it usually works out.
No, Doc, that's an excellent
analogy.
Explanation, and I presume you explain that to your patients.
I do. I do a lot, yes.
So we talked on one of our earlier episodes about kind of the white coat, and maybe for some of our clients or listeners who are patients and maybe don't have a doctor who is so willing to be so open and take the time to meet with their patients or communicate with them. Do you have any maybe tips or recommendations about, just someone who may be uncomfortable talking to their doctor and just them opening up and telling the doctor what's going on with their body?
I tell this with patients too, is if I'm not the right person, I'm not offended by that. If you just can't open up to me, if you can't talk to me, go find someone else. Luckily, there are plenty enough of us around. It's not like the specialists where sometimes those are few and far between. But if the relationship just isn't jiving, find somebody else that it is. Because if you don't open up to me, I can't help you. So, kind of doctors and maybe lawyers too are the people who you should never lie to. Like, we need to know everything. I can't help you if I don't know what's really going on. If for whatever reason you just kind of can't open up, then maybe you need to find somebody different and that you can. And that does not hurt my feelings. I understand that not all relationships are going to be perfect in that. But, the fact that people come see us for everything, it makes it easier for us to kind of get to know them, and then they can let their guard down a little bit. When they come to us for they're sick this time, then this time it's a wellness visit, and this time it's they had some heartburn. Well, I've seen you 3 times, whereas a specialist, you're probably only going to see them once or twice for set things. So I think that kind of helps, too, to kind of build that relationship. And another thing for us, too, is I have a lot of patients that I see parents, I see the grandparents, I see the kids, I got the aunts, the uncles, the siblings. I have it kind of fingers stretch out a good bit. That, and I think that helps, too. That kind of builds that trust amongst the family. And then, again, I tend to see a lot of them, so it kind of helps out as well.
Preach.
I know, right?
Preach, right? I mean, tell the truth, right? Tell the truth. Whatever day, tell the truth Tuesday. Tell the truth Wednesday. Tell the truth, right?
Tuesday. There we go.
So so if I'm hearing you correctly, Doc, that relationship, that patient-doctor relationship, that's a sacred relationship, and if it's not jiving, maybe it's time to move on to another provider who you have a good relationship with.
That again, I see it that way. Hopefully, a lot of my patients see it that way as well. Because again, it does me no good if you can't really open up to me and tell me what's going on. And again, if you're going to do that with somebody else, go for it. Find that. It's very common for women and their OBGYNs. That's another one of those relationships that when you find a good one, you will stick with them. You'll drive an hour to go see them if you find that. A psychiatrist, psychologist, kind of like, if you find a good one, you will go. It's kind of that same way. So again, I take pride in that. In that I can go and build that trust. I tell people my personal stories, family stuff, and things. I think they like that as well. It kind of humanized me, and they do well, and they seem to like that.
So would you recommend, I know several of our clients and a lot of our railroaders, when we get involved, they tell us they've never had a primary care or family doctor. Would you recommend that if you don't have one, like for our listeners that maybe don't have that relationship, that they should establish that? Oh,
definitely. It's a good point of a baseline. I tell most of my people, luckily I see kids in their high school years too sometimes. Look, probably by the time you're 20, 25, you want to set up blood work just to see what things are up. So that's a good way to get established, and hopefully you never need us. And I'll even tell them, look, if you need me, I'm here. If you can stay away for a couple of years, stay away. I don't need to see you. There's no maintenance stuff at that point, but every now and then get some blood work and check. And then as we get closer to the typical maintenance stuff. So with women, it's pap smears and mammograms. With everybody, it's colonoscopies and the prostate cancer screening. As you get closer to that, well, then yes, I am going to see you. But I tell you, look, if you're young and healthy, enjoy it, because eventually it's going to go away, and you're going to have to see me.
Then you'll be back. Then you'll be in to see me.
You're going to come. But having that relationship to where you're not always going to an urgent care or an ER after hours for everything you have, it's easier to kind of have that. Yeah, you may need those places, but if you can have someone who you can kind of build that relationship with, and then, you get your kids or the spouse or whoever to come, it kind of gets the whole family perspective going. Mm-hmm. So yes, I do recommend that. Again, probably by 25-ish, it's good to probably have one at that point, if you can.
Yeah, your baseline. I think that's what I wrote down. Your baseline. I think that's important to say where you're starting at, and then to brag on you a little bit. We had our son we were thinking maybe he was anemic, and we had a baseline, right? Before he had a surgery, and then after he had a surgery, we had some other tests run, and you were able to do a quick little look-see and say, well, look, compare him before and after the surgery. It's looking like his numbers are somewhat similar, so you're able to help kind of address that issue. And I think, for you and your practice, what I appreciate, Doc, is it seems like your approach and our approach is the same, where you really value the importance of the relationship, the candor and the communication, just making sure that you're listening to what they're saying and then actually putting in place, okay, these are the tests, these are the battery of tests you need to run, these are the things I'd recommend you do. And then it's up to the patient to kind of listen, follow through, and just see what's actually going on with their bodies.
Yeah, so that peace of mind is what a lot of patients like, and I'm for that in certain cases. I'm not going to order an unnecessary test if I think I know what you have. I'm going to trust my feelings and go with it. But that old peace of mind, if you don't get that, it will eat you up, and that is not a good thing. And if we need to do blood work, or if you just need that peace of mind because your family member had. I guess there's a lot of whenever a parent gets to an age where they pass away, whether it's 65 or 70, as the patient comes to that age, they're thinking a lot of things. And they're thinking, am I going to outlive my mom or my dad? And they need peace of mind to get through that. And that's what we can do. And I have no problems. And that's point of those checkups is to make sure, hey, look, I can give you peace of mind. We're doing all the things we can. We're hopefully we don't find anything. And hopefully that's enough peace of mind for people.
Yeah, I think that, that's super important. I was sharing with you on the break. My husband recently, in the last year and a half, had a little scare with his heart. They had to put some stents in, and one of the things that he's been struggling with is having a cardiologist, but then not having someone really managing some of the new medications that he's on, and just struggling with those kind of side effects, and then having the cardiologist who's like, I don't want to see you because your stress test and everything looks great. Stop complaining. And him not having kind of the peace of mind to have somebody looking at all that for him.
Yeah, and that's where we come in. And I had one of my bosses in residency, a Dr. Russ. He would always say, it's your boat. Our job as PCPs is to steer the boat. All the other specialists can come along for the ride. They can have a good time, but it's our job to try and kind of hopefully get the boat going in the right direction and make sure everyone's kind of falling in line, doing the right thing. And that's where we come in. And again, I still use that to this day. He told us that probably about 15 years ago.
I love that.
Still use that. Yeah, it's a big boat, and it's our job to kind of be the captain of the boat.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, Chris.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now Chris is our captain.
No, not here.
Chris
I
is
meant
our-
when next time I go with my husband to the car, I'm gonna be like, we
I'm
need
the
somebody
boat
to steer the boat.
Chris is our boat.
That's exactly.
Y'all not
Somebody's got to
steering
be
the
steering
boat.
this ship here. It's going to be running amok in the water there, just floundering around.
Yeah, not to be disparaging to any other specialty doctors, right? I mean, the reason I think my husband would say that he's here is because that cardiologist took the time to go back and look and see some blockage that wasn't seen, right? Because of his family history, which is great. But yeah, having someone, like you said, steering the boat seems like that would be super helpful.
Yeah, I think my job is to step back sometimes and try and how does it all fit, and hopefully help guide it. If it needs a little steering here, that's where I come in. Hopefully it's already going in the right direction, but if we need to kind of adjust course a little bit, I think we can kind of, as long as they trust us, as long as they're coming in, they're going to turn to us first to be the ones that kind of help guide them, and that's where we go. Whether it's going back to the specialist or maybe getting a different specialist, wherever it is, I think that's a critical role for us.
Like a holistic approach. Because I've just, walking on that kind of journey with him, noticed that there's, if one part of the engine's not working, it may be affecting a lot of other pieces, and that specialist may not deal with those particular pieces.
Goes back to that gas mileage, right?
Yeah.
The machine runs, it just doesn't run as well as what it should, and you just got to get it all kind of going back in all working in unison, and then it's a really impressive machine. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Doc, this may be a crazy thought. So we talk about family medicine doctor, and then we talk about specialists, but the reality is a family medicine doctor is a specialist because you're a physician that treats the whole body, right?
yes. So
Is that a silly distinction? Because to me, when I think of the business of medicine, I think, well, yeah, I'm specialized. But the reality is you're a specialist because you're a trained physician who did a residency, who treats the whole. So is it a business marketing type thing with specialties, or is that a,
no,
that make sense?
I guess we're all specialists. They're just specialized specialists, if that makes sense. And so
they're all special.
My job is to know, hopefully, a lot about everything, right? Where I can guide you. Their job is to know everything about their job, right? If you're the heart doctor, you know every single thing there is to know about the heart, or the lungs, or the kidneys, or whatever. So again, a specialized specialist versus just a regular specialist, I guess, is
For sure.
maybe one way of putting it.
Yeah, and for all the doctors out there, we really appreciate the medical professionals, right? We appreciate what medical professionals do. We take it very seriously. So not trying to pick on any doctors out there that are specialists. I would just like to say that Dr. Coach is a specialist, right? So Dr. Coach, our viewers are going, all right, for those who don't know Dr. Montegut, he has quite a few nicknames. You want to tell us a little bit about how you got the name Dr. Coach?
So I don't even know exactly the full origin story. It turned out with my oldest son when he was 5 and 6 years old. He had a couple of his close buddies and the three dads. We all kind of coached all the sports. And somehow along the line, as Danny's friend Ryan here, I started calling him Mr. Coach Ryan. Because I always say Mr. Ryan. I tell it to my kids, go tell Mr. Ryan hi. Go tell Mr. Blaine hi. And then we started coaching. I was like, well, it's Mr. Coach Ryan or Mr. Coach Blaine. And then they in turn said, all right, well, it's Dr. Coach Christian. So I was like, that's just kind of how it stuck. It was kind of a random thing. And then last year, my and Danny's little boy played flag football, and we were the coaches, and we were the Colorado Buffaloes. And so with the everything that happened with Coach Prime last year, I turned into Dr. Coach Prime. And then shortly after that is when I was going to be the coroner. So then Danny here labeled me Dr. Coach Prime Coroner. So it just kind of kept morphing into a bunch of different things. So.
And then I think Governor Landry sent you a letter, the Honorable.
Yes, I did get a letter titled
so
the Honorable.
You became the Honorable Dr. Coach
Coroner Prime. Yeah,
Coroner Prime.
Kind of got out of hand real quickly.
The Prime. Yeah. And, no, and didn't you got us? And
then unfortunately,
I think you got us some Prime shades too.
Yes,
right?
We had the Prime sunglasses, and then unfortunately, we ended up just like Colorado Buffaloes at like a 4-5 record. So we were kind of on point with the Coach Prime thing going. So it worked out.
We didn't finish strong there. So Doc, talking switching gears a little bit to coroner. What congratulations, by the way,
yes,
right? That's a big deal. Being elected, big deal. What is a coroner, and what's that look like?
So most people assume the coroner, all they do is deal with death. And we do our own autopsies, and that's all we do. Or that is not normally the case for especially in our parish. Our parish is smaller, so we don't have as many of the cases like that. But there is a lot more to it. There's a lot of paperwork involved with death certificates and cremation periods, all the official things. We being that our parish is on the river, sometimes we have international deaths from these guys on the boats, and then you have to worry about getting their bodies back to their home countries. The other side that people don't know about is we are the ones involved with a lot of psychiatric problems. So when people need orders for protective custody, if they're threatening someone, that all comes through the coroner's office. And we have to fill out paperwork, then the police get to go pick them up and bring them to get evaluated. Another big thing that most people don't know is the SANE programs. That's the sexual abuse nurse examiner. That's through our office. We're the ones who have that set up. They contact us if there's a sexual abuse case, and then those special nurses go out and handle those exams and get us the documents and the paperwork. And again, a lot of that stuff, a lot of people have no idea that that's part of the coroner's office role.
No, I mean, I had no idea about any of that until recently in the news. They've talked about St. Tammany and Jefferson Parish Coroner, I guess, is taking over that role of the nurse.
Yeah, luckily it's a federal program, so that's been set up. Our parish has been involved with that for a number of years now. Again, it doesn't happen often, luckily, in our parish, but when it does, I mean, things have to happen in a timely manner, and the nurses get, the ERs all know to contact the nurse, and they come and handle those exams and get all the exams done and get the records over to the police so they can go and help in their investigation as well. So again, another thing, it's not just about dead people. It's not the whole, I see dead people thing. It is a major part, but
are we supposed to laugh at that? Was that okay?
M. Night Shyamalan joke. I know. I don't want to get.
I don't know.
I guess.
I don't know. If an elected official says something that's a joke, you just laugh anyway, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm not. No. But that's again. There are a lot of other aspects that it's busy work that kind of goes behind the scenes. I have a great assistant who handles all that kind of stuff. And so yeah, it's nonstop. It's 24 hours a day. We get calls all hours of the day, all hours of the night. If something happens, if there's a car accident, if there is a hospice case, whatever it is, that all comes through our office.
And are you, in your position, are you dealing with each one of those? Like, do you have to be there to do the autopsy or?
No, luckily our autopsies, again, our parish is small. Our autopsies come out here to Jefferson Parish and Dr. Vitanovich and them handle that. But as far as the paperwork, we handle all that. There's all the death certificates and things like that is all through our office that have to happen in a pretty timely manner and things like that. So yes, we're hands on with that. And again, it is a 24/7 job. There's no regular hours for this kind of
No
stuff.
day off. Yeah.
Yeah, no. So luckily, again, our parish is smaller, so that helps a little bit, but it's still there. And then it's like that in Orleans or Jefferson or Baton Rouge or wherever. So, yeah.
So if heaven forbid somebody has a death in the family, and if they have concerns about how the family member died or what's the next best step, are they communicating with the coroner's office, or who would be their point of contact?
So the coroner's office has to come out and declare the person as deceased. So if they're at home, the police can't come and touch the body at all. The coroner's office has to get there and say before anything else can be done. So that's where, either myself or one of my investigators are out there. We have to try and do a little bit of investigating, see if it looks like there might have been foul play, see if it seems like natural causes, were there any drugs involved? Is it an overdose case? Because that's been real big the last few years. So that's kind of our job to try and determine that, along with the autopsy and some of the medical records that are going to go along with it. Same thing for car accidents, for pedestrians that are hit, things like that. Trying to figure out some of the details, of the whole circumstances. Were they impaired or not? Was there anything like that going on? Or was it a medical event? Did they have a heart attack while in the middle of driving, or a stroke in the middle of driving and kind of veer off the road and cause some problems as well? Yeah.
It's really interesting. Did you, since your dad did that, growing up, did you realize that was part of what he did as a doctor?
Maybe kind of come high school is when I maybe kind of got understood of what he did and how he did it, because he had already been doing it for probably about 10 years at that point. So maybe that's when it kind of really hit that's what he dealt with. So that was kind of later. It wasn't part of his regular doctor, but I mean, in the sense, being from a small town like that, he was a traditional doctor. He saw everything. He saw everybody. He saw multiple family members, people that, because he was from out there, people that grew up knowing him, and his parents' friends. He treated all them and was still doing that. So actually, his Little League baseball coach, he just recently passed away at 90-something years old. His baseball coach back in the 60s. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he was still treating them. So, pretty impressive.
Very cool. Something interesting that you shared with me, probably on the field somewhere. You don't have to be a medical doctor to be the coroner. Is that right?
Correct. It is preferred in Louisiana. If an MD is in the race and no one else runs, they automatically get it. If an MD is not in the race, then anyone can kind of throw their name in the hat. Whereas other states are different than that. But in Louisiana, that's part of, I guess, some of our interesting rules that we have.
Yeah.
Statutes that, yes.
And being in St. John the Baptist Parish, do you have to live in that parish to be the elected coroner?
You have to live or have your full-time practice in that parish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Louisiana.
That's a good question, partner.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Very good question. But yes. They'll either reside in the parish or a full-time practice in that. It can't be a part-time practice.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I don't know what my read on that from Carissa is. Maybe they're not.
No, it's it's interesting because, do you live in St. John or you have your practice?
A practice in
Okay.
Yeah, full-time practice.
That's out.
No, because we've seen on the legal side, we've seen issues with candidates with maybe putting down incorrect information to get elected in certain parishes where they're actually not qualifiable. So that's why I asked the question, because we just see that sometimes where they may put down the wrong address, and that's been an issue that comes up. So that's why I was asking. Yeah.
That's a very good question. That's part of it. Yeah.
Good question.
For sure. So digging down a little bit more on the coroner side, Doc, if there's a work-related accident that results in someone passing away, is the coroner's office involved with that at all?
Coroner's office is involved in every death, whether it's at a home, whether it's in a hospital, whether it's on the road, whether it's in one of the plants out by us. We're involved with everything. Again, someone from our office has to go and declare them deceased no matter where they are. So we're always involved with it, trying to figure out, again, whether it was natural causes or whether there was foul play or some other things like that. Again, I guess the biggest one is the car accidents, things like that, which, again, for that, if the accident happens in our parish, then it comes to us. Even if they're passing through, if they're going from Baton Rouge to New Orleans, if the accident happens in St. John Parish, then it's our investigation to handle. We have it on the river. So if someone falls off of a boat on the river and the body turns up in our parish, then it's our investigation. Even if they fell off the boat in Baton Rouge or somewhere upstream, it comes to our parish. It's our thing to handle.
Inside of parish lines, Dr. Montegu's on it.
Correct. Yes.
Gotcha. Well, bless you and your dad for doing that, because we've talked at the field about, some of the things that your dad, may have seen, and bless you for being a servant and doing that for your parish. That's a big deal.
Yeah, some of that stuff is not for the faint of heart, but it kind of comes with the territory, I guess.
No, for sure. The Honorable Dr.
Coach Prime
Coroner.
Right.
So, Doc, on our show, our phrase we like to say, it hadn't really caught on yet. I don't see people at the neighborhood saying this loud or at the field. Tell us something good. And so, tell us something good, Doc.
Tell us something good. I have a 13-year-old son that is graduating 7th grade next week from Christian Brothers, and he will be moving on to Jesuit next year. So that is pretty awesome. He'll be a third-generation Blue Jay, so that's pretty neat.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go Jays.
What's your son's name?
His name is Colin.
And
Yes.
Is he excited?
Yes, he is pretty excited. I don't know if he's more excited about being done with Christian Brothers and just moving on to something new.
Shots fired.
The fact that he's ready for, I guess, a new adventure at that, and he gets back with some of his other buddies from his grammar school that were not at Christian Brothers. So then he'll have them again. So
That's all.
I think he's looking forward to that.
And then you have 2 other kiddos?
Yes, I have a little girl that is 9. Her name is Kate. And then my youngest is 7. His name is Cole. So very confusing in the Montague household. We all have C names except for my wife. So we all get called each other at some point throughout the day.
On the heels of Mother's Day, enter. Let's have you brag on your bride a little bit. Who's your bride? Tell us about your bride.
Yeah, so she is a phenomenal lady. We met back at LSU. She is a dentist. She works on the West Bank for a place called Bippo the Hippo. Bippo's Place for Smiles.
Yes. Yeah, they got the slides and all the colors.
Yeah,
Yes,
they have
that's
all
one on
stuff,
North Shore.
Yeah, they have 2 in Slidell, 2 in the West Bank, 1 in Mandeville. She's been working there ever since she graduated in 2008, and we have 3 lovely children as well. And yeah, she's fantastic. She keeps the house running. She is the glue. She is what makes the house run. I'm just along for the ride, and thank God she's kind of helped steering that boat. But yes, I enjoy her immensely. She is a fantastic woman. She a few years back went through breast cancer treatment. So it was before she was set to have a mammogram. So she found a lump under her arm, and we got it checked out. And within about 2 days, we had an answer that was not good. Along the heels of having our son just turned 2, we had a 3, almost 4-year-old and a 7-year-old at the time, and we were building a house. We poured the slab for our house the very next day after we found out about that.
Wow.
So yeah, I had high blood pressure for a little bit after all that. But she made it through with flying colors. She did all of her treatments. And we are 5 years out, which is a big milestone for her.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
But yeah, she had not had any of that in her family. She didn't have a family history of breast cancer, so kind of snuck up on us. But luckily, we were able to tackle it. We had some amazing doctors, Dr. Colfrey and Dr. Sullivan, and her oncologist, Dr. Zachariah. They were fantastic and got her through it.
no, that's amazing. And probably so important as women to do those exams, right? Because,
Oh, definitely. Self-exams are big for women, whether it's the gynecologist doing it or doing it yourself. It's a big deal. Just try to get familiar with your body. If something's not right, go get it checked out. But again, she was kind of too young for that. We'll see if they eventually change that age down because younger and younger women are getting this. But for now, it's still 40. But yeah, she was 38 at the time. So luckily she found it when she did, and we were able to tackle it head on. And she did well came through with flying colors.
no, that's awesome.
Yeah, thanks for.
Yeah, with small kids too. That was a
Yeah.
I can't imagine that stress It's stressful. Life is stressful as it is with little ones. And
Yeah. It makes it a lot harder with little kids because they didn't know what was going on. So trying to get her through it and keep them distracted with the school and life and friends and all the other stuff. And luckily we were able to do that, and she did fantastic with it. So yeah, it worked out.
Thanks for sharing that. And to bring a little levity, you might have gained a few LBs during that time period in your life, Dr. Coach.
Probably so.
Maybe a little stress. Well, I'm trying to bring a little levity to
Thanks,
that.
man.
oh man,
That's actually when I shortly after that is when I started working out a little bit more regularly. And part of that, right, well, I was like, look, I got to take care of myself. She's going through this. So let's see, that happened in probably September, October. Probably by about that January, I started working out one day a week again and started doing some stuff. So trying to do my part in that. Look, if I'm going to be a physician, tell people to eat right and exercise, I might as well practice what I preach. So I started doing that as well, and I still try and maintain that. Depending on the kids' schedules, I try to do at least once a week. I have a Peloton bike that I ride a few nights a week, usually, at least, if not more. So I'm doing my part to try and do that because life is precious. You kind of have a perspective change after something like that happens. And so, yeah, I kind of started that. So that was, God, that's probably been since about 2019, I guess. So yeah, I've been doing that for about 5 years now. So, but thanks, man. I did probably get a little bit at the beginning.
I give you grief because I give Dr. Coach grief because he's a fit dude, but he's a tremendous athlete in his own right. So I give him grief because he's the kind of guy you need to give him grief because he's quite a bit of a baller, and he's dedicated to his family and to his patients. And so I just, not to be too braggadocious on you, but I appreciate knowing you as a friend, and I respect you as a husband and as a father and as a football coach, as a basketball coach, as a baseball pitcher coach, right? Like it's all about it's all about the kids, and congrats again on being an elected official, and thank you so much just for taking the time to come be with us.
Oh, no problem.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I had a great time. This is my first time ever doing a podcast, so it was pretty.
Awesome.
Annie, something. Annie, you know what else? You know what else we need though? When Carissa lights up like that, she got excited.
Add Bippo the hippo, yeah.
Okay, what we need a noise for when Carissa illuminates. Like she's like, I'm the captain. Like, what do we press? Give us something.
I don't know that we need to
The
press
only like
anything.
joke or laugh I have. I don't like that for.
That doesn't.
She was
fit.
excited.
She was so excited. We need something for like, Bippo the hippo. She was so fired up.
Earlier she was going dun dun dun.
Yeah,
Right.
music.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one. All right, well, that does it for episode 10 of Stay on Track podcast. Our vision is to help 500 plus families battling injuries by year 2028.
Our motto is that we help people who are hurt. Our goal is to earn each client's trust by showing up for them every day. When we say PO in our office, we think protecting others. We started this podcast to share knowledge, experience, and insights free of charge to better spread our vision and serve our communities near and far.
For everyone listening in, thank you very much. Tell us something good. Please share our vision on social media so others may learn more about what we do and who we help. For Carissa and our excellent guest, Dr. Christian Montegut, I'm Danny. Thank you for staying on track with Poolson Oden Law Firm.
Thank you.